We know it's not just pregame spread bets. It's not money line. It's not totals. But one of the most fun parts about Super Bowl week every year is all of the various ways to bet Super Bowl props. So for the sake of covering all angles, let's just take a quick look at our top overall props for the big game. I think pretty much all of these, except for one, have both of those tags that I mentioned when we were looking at the past money line bet, both sweet spot and high value signals. So all of these are going to be on my card. Dave, where do you want to start?
Yeah, we'll take a little look. There's not like an overwhelming amount of props on the site. And I will say some of them are very slim probabilities. There's an edge there, but they're at around, they could be sub 50%, 48%, 51%. So they wouldn't be, necessarily considered the top prop options. But there are plenty of ways to use that data. You can sort by market on there. There's a couple touchdown props, which we'll get into. There's some props, if you're bold enough to fade Jackson Smith-Njigba, I believe we have the under on his receptions with a little edge. But I'll say we have a projected like right there at the line. So, it's basically you're waiting if you want the value, the probability, or the projection on your side. So I'll just pull up the ones that, stood out in that regard as far as having both of those signals and just take a quick look at them. I'm not going to say these are official plays, but just, if you're not utilizing this feature of the site, this is the type of stuff that you can find on there. You'll see a couple of them on receptions here, or at least one on receptions, a few on receiving yards. I know at least you have one of these as a personal play, Greg, from I think our first Super Bowl look, maybe the second episode we did. That's the Jake Bobo, which you can bet multiple ways. If one of them didn't have the high value, but it was on site for over 0.5 or 0.5 receptions. So you can get it for 1+ reception or 1+ receiving yard. Basically, it just depends which one you want to take. The odds are a little better for the receiving yards. They're plus 180 here on FanDuel. I believe it was around plus 160, 155 for the reception. Probably safer to take the reception, which is why the odds are a little shorter, because you can't unreceive the ball. You can lose yards. I don't think Jake Bobo's catching a ball behind the line of scrimmage. So you can probably feel pretty comfortable about just taking his receiving yards. And in that regard, maybe even look for him to get 5+, even a little better. He's, again, probably not catching a sub 5-yard pass realistically based on his depth of target. We talked about that in all the games he caught a pass except for one. I believe he had at least 13 yards. So one way to look at that. Those receiving yards props, 7.7% ROI over 452 bets over the season. So not a small sample size whatsoever. The model's pretty good at finding the value on the receiving yards props. We'll look at the one passing prop here. Sam Darnold under 20.5 passing completions, projected for 19.5. 60% probability, minus 125. So pretty good edge there at 4.4%. That is 16.2% ROI over 97 bets. It's the smallest of these sample sizes, but still not small at all. It's also the highest ROI. Darnold's over this in just 7 games, including the playoffs this year. So pretty favorable trend in that regard as well. Rushing attempts is the only one here without high value edge. That's on Rashid Shaheed to get at least 1 carry. We talked about this, I think, in the NFC Championship preview when this came up with an edge as well, and he did cash it. 9.6% ROI over 279 bets this season. So really good stuff there. He's got a carry in both playoff games, and this is the stat that I just love the most when pointing to this, and I'm not surprised to see his odds a lot juicier here now. But 6 games with Seattle in the regular season, he had a carry, only 1 with New Orleans. So they are using him in a way that he just wasn't really deployed with New Orleans, even though it's very minimal. You're talking about 1 rushing attempt here. You don't even need the yard. However, I'd probably consider trying to find him at 5+, 10+ rushing yards. You'll get plus money, or at least close to it for 5+, I'm sure. Minus 165 is pretty juicy for a standalone prop for me.
Yeah.
And then just the last one, receptions, 5.8% ROI over 101 bets this year. You're just going to find Kyle Williams here. Like, see, this is, 50.7% probability, really, pretty much a coin flip, but plus 150, very good 10.7% edge. Not a lot of targets for him, but one catch and he gets it. Big average depth of target for him this season or this postseason. I believe he is the highest on the Patriots in his very minimal looks. So high risk, high reward stuff. But yeah, these are the ones on site that cross over with both signals. You see most of them plus money, but a couple really high probability ones too for lower risk, little less reward.
Yep, all these are going to be on my card. I had Bobo on the top of the list a week ago. I'm with you. I'm going to just get the best odds you can find, whether it's receptions or yards. Plus 180, incredibly tasty for that for me. I just love with Super Bowl, like you get the kitchen sink with offenses.
Yeah.
You get the gadget plays. You get anything you've been waiting on. You do. There's always high leverage spots where you pull something out that people aren't expecting. And to me, that's where like Shaheed to get one rushing attempt, Bobo to get one reception, even Kyle Williams to get one. These are all kind of prop plays, and I think you see the prop plays in the Super Bowl. So it's fun that the model is finding so many of these because these are some of my favorite props to bet in a big game like this. But then you also have, the like you said, the ROI of the completions under with Sam Darnold that's been a consistent hit all year. So a lot of good stuff here, a lot of different ways you can pull various bets out of this to put together your card. But I have every single one of these 6 on my official Super Bowl prop card.